I was born in Hyderabad, India, the seventh and youngest child. I have four sisters and two brothers, a dominant mother and four elder sisters, and I quickly learned that women ruled in my home. I was unaware at that time that marriage would not really change that. We grew up in a busy joint family with cousins, aunts, and uncles dropping in our home without announcing. In India, at least in those days, people would knock on your door unannounced. I guess when you don't have telephones and cell phones, that was the way of life. My dad was a government employee and my mom a homemaker. It was a 20-minute walk to my school and not much traffic those days. You could cross the street without any problems. Today, you step on the street and you'll be run over. The one thing my parents told me again and again was to read, read, and read. I did play sports, but that was not a priority. I did get interested in swimming and did take part in competitions, but that was just a hobby. Sports are not given much importance, even now, and no wonder India's 1 billion cannot produce one single gold medal in the Olympics. But one thing is for sure, India does export a lot of doctors, engineers, and computer geeks. I was doing my internship in medicine in New York when my sister asked me, "Do you want to get married or not?" I'm not sure to this day why she asked me. Maybe my face looked pathetic, or simply because I was turning 27. I must have said yes, 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 but I don't recall what I said. By the way, to all those listening to me, when you do get married, the phrase, "I don't recall," would be your second best friend. Your first best friend is a phrase, "I love you. Trust me." My sister told me that her friend had a niece in India who was quite pretty and would I be interested in looking at her picture. I did get the photograph a week later, but there was a slight problem. There were two young women in that picture. However, my job was easy. I picked the prettier woman, and that happens to be my wife. For 7 months we dated across the oceans with letters and telephone calls, but never met until 2 days before marriage. Those days, letters took 3 weeks to arrive, and telephone calls were $3 a minute. There was no texting and no FaceTime. We went on a date 1 day before our wedding. I wanted to go to the park, but she wanted to go to the temple. Guess what? We went to the temple. Growing up as high school students, we had only 3 choices: engineering, medicine, and business. I was and am fascinated by the human body, and it was easy for me to be drawn into the medical field. My wife had to wait for 2 years for the visa to come here, and I had visited her once after a year. Well, my eldest son was born, the one who is presenting this topic today. He was 2 months when he and my wife finally arrived in New York. While growing up, I saw more Hollywood movies than Bollywood. When I first arrived in New York in 1985, it was a dream come true. I was really looking at the Empire State Building, which I had only seen in the movies. I was totally fascinated with the awesome bridges and the countless cars. The culture shock was literally a slap on my face. As years rolled by, the shock wore off, and life moved on, smoothing the ruffled edges. We had another son, who grows up, believe it or not, to be another Aggie. As a gastroenterologist, practicing in Beaumont, when people ask me what I do, I say to them, I'm a glorified photographer and video gamer. I look into people's stomachs, take pictures, and zap tumors and growths with laser.